We're so happy you're joining us. Just tell the audience, those that may not know who you are.
Well, my name's Engels. I'm going to be a senior here at Fond du Lac High School. I do cross country and track. I'm also vice president of the youth and government delegation here in Fond du Lac. Yeah, that's pretty much all about me. I'm not that very interesting.
So senior year, are you thinking about next year? What's kind of your post-grad plans?
Yeah, definitely. Hopefully in big schools around the Midwest, like Michigan or Illinois or even Minnesota. I'm not sure about Madison because I'm not a Badgers fan, so I'm a Michigan fan. Yeah, I'm hoping to go to school for history education, maybe minoring in some political science or broadcast journalism. I'm going to be doing the ROTC while I'm there too, so also get involved in that. A dream of mine for a few years.
Awesome. Well, we appreciate you joining us. I want to introduce our guest, Mr. Steinbarth, our new superintendent of the school district, and a chance to get to know him a little bit. Many probably know him. Mr. Steinbarth, you've been a Fondy Cardinal your whole life, a student, teacher, principal, district leader, and now superintendent. Which moments on that journey most shaped how you lead today?
Absolutely. First of all, when someone's had that many roles in this district, obviously I'm old enough to have all those roles. So just getting off of celebrating my 50th birthday, which is a shock to even say out loud. I've had a lot of great moments here in Fond du Lac, starting out with my education at Chegwin between kindergarten and second grade, and then over to Parkside from third grade through sixth grade when our elementary schools went through sixth grade, and then was also a Sabish Bear before being at Goodrich, which is now, with a new high school, even though it's not very new, Fond du Lac High School that way. So a lot of great moments. Some of the biggest ones was my first job in Fond du Lac. I actually got hired before I put an application or anything. Must have been doing a good enough job student teaching at Roseno at the time. And my former principal at Parkside actually called me up kind of out of the blue and said, "Hey, I was told you might be somebody to interview. Be interested in interviewing us." And this was in December. So I went and interviewed. And a little bit later that night, I got a phone call saying, "It's not completely formalized yet, but we'd like to offer you the job. You'll expect to hear a call from our HR person probably Monday morning." So that was a huge piece with Del Colburn, former principal at Parkside. From there, I moved over to Woodworth, where I taught for 14 years, taught math, algebra primarily, and coached volleyball, basketball, and track. And there again, I had a boss that said, "Hey, have you ever thought about going into administration?" And I said, "No, thank you." Wasn't interested in that at all. And then finally, 14 years later, I'm like, you know what? Maybe it's something I need to consider going into. So just that belief in me that it's something I should think about, it was huge. And it really led me to where I am now, having been an assistant principal at Woodworth for 1 year, a principal at Lakeshore Elementary School for 3 years, here at Fond du Lac High School for 5, before switching over to the district administration office where I was chief of schools, then chief academic officer, and now superintendent. So again, I really ran the gamut, but it's really come from people believing in me when maybe I didn't even believe in myself that I could accomplish some of the things I have.
What has kept you in Fond du Lac throughout your entire professional career?
Again, kind of going back to my original story, that first phone call from Del Colburn saying, "Would you be interested in this interview?" Without having an application in, because I wasn't expecting to do it until the following summer. It was that landing spot that I, again, having been a Parkside student, I'm like, this is awesome. I get to start teaching in the same place that I was a student. From there, I was grounded in what we were doing in Fond du Lac, and I believed in the mission all along of what we were trying to do for students. And I wanted to be part of that and give back to the community that had given me amazing opportunities.
One of our partners in the Fond du Lac School District is the Leadership Development Program Initiative 1. Leaders throughout that create a 2-word purpose statement. What are your 2 words, and how do they guide your daily decisions?
My 2 words are igniting opportunities. And actually, when I went through the Initiative 1 process, they kept asking what our 2-word purpose statement was, and I didn't have it for probably the first year and a half. And then I really started grounding myself in why I became a teacher, why I'm in this profession in the first place, and some of my biggest moments for myself that I feel fulfilled. And it was igniting opportunities for other people, whether it was students that maybe didn't think they could learn something, whether it was in elementary school or math, or whether it was an athlete that didn't think they were good enough to make a traveling team or do something else that way. And me just trying to pour into them one belief that they can do it if they really want to do it. It's kind of moved into now as an administrator, a teacher, or now superintendent, looking at people around me and what opportunities do they want for themselves, for their family, and how can I help either influence it or shape that or make that happen for them. And I think that's where really my job isn't about me so much. I get the biggest satisfaction from seeing other people accomplish something that they had sought out or want to do, and being a part of that. That fills my bucket.
What 3 priorities will guide you as your first year superintendent, and why are they most important to you?
First one right now, honestly, I'm hoping we go to referendum again. And so I'm going to be pouring a lot of time into making sure if we go to referendum that can pass. We missed out on an opportunity last year. And unfortunately, everything I do, it's about students and what impact will decisions I have on students. Right now, I believe the collaboration time we've lost a little bit at the middle and high school level with teachers having proper planning time could hurt us a little bit. And so I want to see with this operational referendum, if we do choose that route, to get some of those pieces back, because I do think the collaboration among staff can help students learn at a higher level. So that's one of them. And then with that, obviously, is our DDI, our instruction that we do, that data-driven instruction that the teachers are doing to make sure that they can look at information coming in from student assessments and making plans on that. I want to make sure that that's rounded K-12. Right now, we're doing a really good job with it in our elementary schools, getting better with it at our middle schools and high school. Again, knowing that we have a schedule change, there'll be some learning obstacles that will take place to get that to happen. But I really do believe that in terms of student learning and student outcomes, that's a huge component of that as well. The last one is really just planning with the end in mind. And at my opening speech, we're going to talk about that. And that's been something that we had administrators in talking about, our teachers looking at that unit assessment and saying, okay, this is what our students have to learn. Let's do some backwards planning, or again, having the end in mind. What do we need to make sure is happening through the course of studies to make sure that the students get what they need to be successful on, whether it's the ACT, the unit assessment itself, or just having that opportunity to do whatever they want. I firmly believe I want every student being prepared to go to college if that's what they choose to want to do, but we don't want to close the door on anybody. Again, I'm not saying college is for everyone. My dad worked at UPS and owned a roofing company and did very well for himself. So when I think of the ACE program and some of those components we have here in the high school, there's an opportunity for every student, but the more doors that are left open, then students get to choose which ones they walk through.
Now, I know at the end of this school year, due to the referendum, a lot of teachers did end up getting laid off.
Sure.
And I was just interested in because I saw that obviously happening.
Sure. Absolutely.
Yeah, and spoke to a lot of my teachers about
Absolutely.
that. But I've seen on Instagram the congratulations for like hiring of teachers on the elementary school level and a few on the middle school level.
Yes.
I was just wondering how that was being like able to take place. Like,
Sure.
wow.
People will choose to resign and leave at different places. So the non-renewals at the time that we did them in April, May, really was to make sure that we were at a spot where we were able to start in the next school year being within our budget. So with that, yes, some teachers had to be non-renewed. We actually did hire quite a few back even through the interview process. Some interviewed maybe didn't get the job they were looking for yet, but then other people at the elementary level, because a lot of it was done at the middle school and high school level. So a lot of people at the elementary level, especially if you look at some of the more recent ones, it's been at the elementary level where if a person left in June or July, we need to fill that because we were counting on that position at that time. And legally, through the state of Wisconsin, we have to tell somebody that they're being non-renewed before a specific deadline. So to make sure that we were in compliance with what we needed budgetarily, we had to make those decisions then, knowing that some people maybe would resign later on and that would have to fill those positions then. Great question, though. Yeah.
Yeah, we were fortunate to bring many of those teachers back. And, at the core of it, Mr. Steinbarth, you mentioned students are at the focus and what their experiences are. So as you're looking at your long-term strategic goals and how those remain connected to the everyday experiences and needs of our students, staff, and those in our school communities, what type of things go into that? And you want to talk a little bit more about, you said your first pillar was, that student piece, and then even too, data-driven instruction is highly focused on where each of our students are learning.
Correct. And again, when I think about long-term strategic goal, I want Fond du Lac to be a destination district. 4 years ago, we had about 30% of our students at the elementary level being able to read at grade level. We're approaching 50% right now, which is awesome. Those are the types of things we want to continue doing. I'd like it to get to, 100% obviously, but in increments, if we can get up to 55 or 60% by the end of this year, that would be magnificent. And then for me at the high school, it really is all about student experiences. This high school has amazing opportunities, and I've always said this, I'll put it up against any high school in the state in terms of opportunities that our kids or our students can have in terms of, again, the ACE program, our music program, our athletic program, some of the electives that we offer students to, have that jump start. I know my own daughter graduated last year. I want to say she's going into UW-Madison. I know, Zach, it's not your favorite school, but we're going to let that go right now, as she'll be a fourth-generation Badger. She was only a third-generation Fondy Cardinal, but will be actually a fourth-generation Badger, which is almost unheard of, I would think. But it really is those opportunities of, holy cow, I get to start almost as a second-semester sophomore in college because of the opportunities we have here at Fond du Lac High School. We just actually have announced another partnership with Marian University down the road, where some of the courses we maybe wouldn't have been able to offer here in Fond du Lac, they're actually picking up on some of those for us. So students, I have a junior right now as well, who is going to be taking a biology course over at Marian as a junior, will get high school credit and college credit, which just propels her moving forward. And so when we talk referendum, for me, and I might be the wrong person to talk to about this, but I believe the less opportunities we can provide because we just don't have the resources financially, that only hurts students. I would love to see us spending an exorbitant amount on just opportunities for students, whether it's the rock climbing, whether it's our sports. Again, the fine arts program, our just art in general, foreign language. We have so many things here in Fond du Lac High School to offer, and I don't think a lot of people actually know that. I just met with a secretary that asked if she could see the ACE building, and she's been a long time employee of the Fond du Lac School District, so I was able to show her, and she's like, wow, I've never gotten to see this. And it really clicked with me that we probably have a lot of educators, a lot of parents, and a lot of community members that don't really know what Fond du Lac High School has to offer. So I'd like to see that increase significantly so that when we go to referendums or things like that, they know really the why behind it. It's not about the adults necessarily. It's about what we can offer kids.
And you mentioned that many people don't really know what this high school or the school district has to offer. How would you have programs of outreach to show these people what they do have to offer?
Well, and I don't know when this is going to be aired, but one of the first things I'm thinking about are back to school with our staff. And this was just because of this weekend. I'd like to see every staff member actually get a chance to walk around this high school and see what this high school has to offer. Again, one of the things I said is one of our focuses this year is planning by looking at where we want them to end up, where students to end up. We have staff at the elementary and middle school level that have no idea what our students are going to experience here. So that's one thing, just making sure first and foremost that staff have that opportunity. But then I'd love to see some open houses for our community. And we've done things. I know Mr. Mikkelkavich has done a few things where he opens up the school for conversations and things like that. We just have to really keep pouring out of, hey, what do you want to know? What do you want to see? And giving, even if it's 5, 6, 7 people, that opportunity to walk through and see what students are now experiencing that even when I, 30 some years ago didn't get to experience at Goodrich, what they actually get to experience now, even within this room and what you produce on a weekly basis. People don't realize that you're getting that experience here.
What ongoing work or emerging opportunity made you say, I want to lead this next chapter?
The biggest thing is igniting opportunities. That's who I am. The last couple of years, we've really done some great work with students in terms of giving them more opportunities because they're achieving at a higher level. And I want to see that continue. I also, though, want to make sure we're taking time to celebrate some of these big milestones and making sure our teachers are feeling supported. I talked with the district administration and I said, from my lens, district administration is supposed to be there to help our principals at the school level that should be helping our staff at the building level that then are guiding our students to that next piece. So for me, it's seeing where we're headed, but also having been part of where we were. And there's things I'm proud about where we were as well. But for me, it really is ensuring that every student that walks through our halls has somebody in our building that really is looking out for them. Again, I feel like I had a great experience in my elementary career personally. Middle school was okay. High school, though, I went through, and I don't know if a lot of teachers would have remembered me because I was very compliant. I was willing to sit, be quiet, not cause a disruption, but I didn't always maybe do as well as I could have academically. But I don't know if I had teachers that were pushing me and making that connection with me to say, Matt, you're better than this. Really engaging with me in the learning process. I wanted to see. I feel like I did that a lot as a teacher because that's something I noticed that I wish someone would have done more for me. And I talked to some former students that would say that I did do that. As you separate yourself from the classroom into administration, you lose some of that. But hopefully to instill that on our administration and our staff, that's really what students need. Be engaged, show an interest, do those little things inside and outside of the school day to make sure students know that you want them to be their best, not only in your classroom, but for their long term.
And for some teachers, that of course comes naturally, and some others, they learn it down the road. How would you have any opportunities for these teachers who maybe it doesn't come to them naturally, the stuff you just said, for them to learn it and figure out as soon as they possibly could so they could impact the most students possible?
Again, and we're trying to do a lot within the district with training up teachers. Initiative 1 was something with principals, and we're moving into teachers as well a little bit more now. I know Mr. Smith got to experience that as well. And then with staff, it really is that DDI process of during your planning stages, are you planning for each student in your class? And that can be hard. I get it. At the high school level, our teachers will have, between 125 and 150 students. And to think that everyone's going to make this really deep connect with every student, I want that, but I'm also realistic to say that can be hard. People have different personalities, and even for yourself in your own friend group, there's probably people that you choose to hang out with more than other people as well. And that's called human nature. That's something that just has to happen. But with the DDI process and with some of the onboarding that we do now, just to keep reminding people of what connection are you having. I think a lot of people go into teaching because they had that connection with some teacher and they want that experience for someone else. So I think it's innately part of the reason they go into teaching, or just a love of that subject. But remember that we are completely a people business. So we have to be making those connections at the very foundational level of who a person is to make sure that they have the best outlook on school.
Mr. Steinbarth, you've talked a lot about, your upbringing. You were born and raised in Fond du Lac. You've walked these same halls as a student, even as a parent. Now, various list of staff roles. It really takes a village to help support all of these people. You mentioned kind of that cascading down from district administration to school administration to staff. What does the community look like in Fond du Lac, and how will you tap into that?
Yeah, I think that's probably one of my strengths right now going into it, and maybe why the school board did choose me to be the next superintendent. Again, having lived here for 50 years, I have a lot of connections with business leaders. We talk about the ACE program. Bob Uhrig is a huge component of that. He had been my basketball coach with my dad when I was in 4th grade. So it's those connections that I have in this community that I think will really help foster. One, I think people, for the most part, trust me. So if I'm talking about what we need for a referendum, I'm hoping people will be like, well, if Matt really is saying, X, Y, and Z is what we need to do, they're trusting that, one, that's what we need, and two, that is how we will spend that money, that it will go to our students and making those components. But I also think it's just being around this community and hearing what our businesses want, what our universities, again, we talked about Aaron Sadoff. Aaron Sadoff had been a teacher with me at Woodworth back when I was a teacher there. So those connections that I've just fostered over the last 50 years, I think will come in handy as we navigate the next couple of years of my career here and seeing what we can do to make sure that Fond du Lac is operating at as high of a level as the Kimberleys, as the Arrowheads, as any of these other school districts, that the Nicolais, that get recognized all the time for doing great things. We have great people in this community. Parents, again, business leaders, people do things and go out of their way all the time in this community. And for me to acknowledge that and show appreciation, but also to sometimes tap in and say, hey, this might be a need we have. What can you do to help out? I know one partner that I haven't talked about, Dave Hazy over at Attitude Sports. I remember when he started the business, and I bought all my bikes from him as well. I think I bought one from Schwinn here in town for Fond du Lac Cyclery as well. But he donates jackets that people probably don't even realize to some of our schools. And when I say jackets, like hundreds of jackets for kids. And he works closely with my wife on some things, as well as Amy Yan over at Parkside. But it's those types of things that other people that have lived in this community for a long time are always willing to help out. And sometimes it's just knowing, how do you want me to help out? So hopefully I'm approachable enough to some people that they can feel comfortable reaching out to me and saying, Matt, what do you need? What do the schools need? That we can really, again, make an impact for students.
How will you collaborate with teachers and staff to ensure open communication and shared ownership of district goals?
That's one of those pieces with Initiative 1 that we're going to continue to build on. And it talks about having shared goals and having trust accelerators that guide our work all the time. I also, though, am a person that I really do believe that getting input from multiple sources is the best way to move a district forward, or a classroom or a school forward. I want to hear voices. That doesn't always mean, and this is where it's tricky sometimes, although I'm listening to all the incoming messages that people have, or concerns or wants or beliefs, I always take those into account. But at the end of the day, I also know that my role is the decision maker. So I have to take all the things in and hopefully people know that I'm listening to them and I'm taking it 100% to heart of what they think would help the district move forward. Well, you can't do everything that people want all the time. And so I have to kind of navigate this is what we're going to do and be that final decision maker. But hopefully people believe or will believe that they actually have a voice and that they can come to me. I have an open door at the district office, whether it's a student, whether it's a staff member, a parent, whoever it is. If they have a concern and want to talk to me or have something that they think could really help us, I want them coming in and feeling like they can come into my office and talk with me about next steps or future planning or things like that to make this district the best that it can be. Because believe it or not, I'm not as smart as people probably think I am as a superintendent. I did take the classes. I did all those types of things, but I do believe in my heart that the greatest knowledge comes from really bringing a lot of people together to brainstorm different ideas.
When you say multiple sources, I know you reference students and parents and teachers.
Yep.
Were there any other sources that you say you would take into account? And if so, like how big would of an influence would they have on your decision?
Community members are always a big piece. Again, that's how we started the ACE program. I had the people that really helped push that forward came to me my first year as a principal and say, this is something we've been talking about for the last 8 years. How do we make this happen? And at that time, it's like, well, let's see if we can have the district put some money towards it. But the community brought in $2 million to help that be built. That's where it comes from. It could be anybody. It might be some of our local politicians even that want to see things change. And again, it's the community. So we talked about referendum a little bit. When we go to referendum, I'll be sharing all the things that I want for students and staff in Fond du Lac. At the end of the day, what the community says, this is what we want. It might be we want our taxes to stay very low. That's a community we live in. We're going to have to make those decisions then in my position to say, this is what the community believes in. That's what we have to fit into the mold that we have. And that this last year, that meant a lot of non-renewals of staff members who are not filling positions up to 85 staff positions that we don't have currently going into this year. That was because of the community voice of, we don't believe you spend your money properly. Whether that's true or not, that's what our community believes. So that's why we had to make those decisions then. So it really is taking everybody in this community at different times. And sometimes it is more of a silent message of a failed referendum, but sometimes it is people. I just met with a group, an organization that they had talked and invited us at a school board meeting. And they said, we'd like you to come in. Well, if somebody asks me to come into a meeting that they have established already, as long as it doesn't interfere with one of my own kids' functions, that I want to be a dad first, I think that's most important. I'm going to try to be there for this community to make sure I'm listening to what people are saying.
There are many people who vote in this referendum who do not have students in our school district. They're homeschooled or they go to private school.
Mm-hmm.
How would you convince them to have their tax dollars support stuff that's happening that doesn't benefit their kids or themselves and would only benefit students that attend the schools?
That's a great question. And again, I might not be the best person to answer this because I always say I think it's in the best interest of students, but I have a lot of really good friends that have kids that go to the Springs and kids that go to WLA, kids that go all over the place. One piece that I will always bring up is when we talk about the Fond du Lac School District, that's also community and rec. So the aquatic center, our community and our school district spends money on the aquatic center that's accessible to everybody. We also, and you might not know this as a student even, but our private school students, as long as we have room, can actually take up to 2 classes here at Fond du Lac High School as well. So when we talk about the ACE program, in the past, we've had students that have come for that or for autos or for marketing or different things that we have going that way as well. And for me, again, I've lived here as long as I have. As you said, it takes a community. The more we put into our students and the future of this community, the better this community is going to be. Whether you are a person that maybe is a grandparent that had your own kids go through 30, 40 years ago, which would be my parents even. Okay, how does this influence you moving forward though? Hopefully people like you choose, even though you're a Michigan fan, hopefully people like you will choose to come back to Fond du Lac and share your expertise with the next generation and continue growing this community into the best community it can be. That's why I like to pour money into the school systems and things like that, because I do believe the youth of our community are going to be the leaders of this community at some point. Whether it's the Springs, WLA, wherever it is, Fond du Lac High School has almost 2,000 students. That's a big chunk of this community each year coming in and going out that can influence how this community looks 10, 15, 20 years from now. I will say this community looks very different than it was 30 years ago when I went through it. Some things better, some things worse. But I think that's where the value comes in is you're investing in this community through your taxes, through a referendum, to make sure that students have access to what's going to help them be better for society in the future.
Mr. Steinbarth, imagine a time in the future. Fast forward 2030 now. You've been the superintendent for a number of years. What headline would you love to see about the Fond du Lac School District?
Honestly, hopefully I'm still here. That'd be a big component of it, but also that we continue to outpace the rest of the state and the nation in terms of accelerating student learning. Whether it's growth, whether it's achievement, whatever it is, we're on that ride right now in terms of growth specifically. But hopefully they look back and people start coming to us in Fond du Lac, which we have people nationally coming and asking us, what are you doing differently that the rest of us aren't doing? So I would hope that continues and that we get a lot of recognition for our staff that put in countless hours to work with our students who ultimately show those gains that at the end, it really is all about them. It's giving them those opportunities to go to Michigan, go to Illinois, go to Madison, go to Marion University down the road, start a career at Alliant or at JF Ahern or Giddings and Lewis or any of the places we have here in town because of something that we were able to provide for them here in Fond du Lac High School or the Fond du Lac School District that propels them to be able to achieve what they want for their family later.
Who is in charge for, at least for the high school at least, who's in charge of the curriculum all across the board for all the subjects here?
Sure. First and foremost, when we talk about curriculum, remember we're in the state of Wisconsin that has Wisconsin academic standards. So anything we do really by law has to follow the Wisconsin academic standards. And then from there, our school board also always makes decisions based off of recommendations of what type of curriculum resources, whether it's CKLA or SAVIS or anything else that's brought into the district. They have the final say of saying, yes, we're approving this or not approving it. But a lot of that last year I was a big piece of that. Even though I don't know if we brought in a whole lot of new last year, except for elementary math coming up. So it's the research done by that. We try to follow a third party that goes through all the resources and says this really meets the academic standards that you want for students. Ed reports. So we use that as a guide a little bit as well, that it needs to meet those requirements. But then from there it is really this is what we're going to be doing because of the state of Wisconsin, the school board proving it, things like that this is what we need to be teaching. So that's really how curriculum is used. Again, I brought up CKLA, which is at the elementary level more. That was a state mandated. We need to have a program that meets these requirements. You could use something of your own, but you have to show how you're filling the pieces that it maybe didn't meet to meet the level of rigor that they believe CKLA does. So there's a lot of things that go into play with that. I actually foresee more coming down from the state level or even national level of we want this in place. But right now, that's kind of how it's done.
And I've heard as a student here many voices about what a lot of different people think about the curriculum.
Sure.
And even from my own experiences, I and many others have been kind of dissatisfied with the curriculum, with how it teaches, how it goes through explaining things. And one of the biggest criticisms I heard is of SAVIS. A lot of people are not satisfied with it. And I just want to know, was that a state thing or was that something that was imposed by the district?
That was more district that it actually met the state standards at one of the highest levels that is out there at least. So that was one of the big pieces of why that was chosen. At the time though, now are you talking the social studies, the language arts, which piece?
Both.
Both. So I would say with the English one, at least specifically, I know that there was a different one chosen at one point and it did not go through the process because we do want our teachers also to be part of that process of which is the best resource in terms of what needs to be taught. And we actually scrapped what we had originally been thinking about doing and came up with that met the satisfaction of teachers even a little bit more. I think the other piece though that we have to continue to work on is still the delivery. Whether regardless of the curriculum resource that's there, we need to make sure we are delivering it to students in a way that is engaging. What I had said before, that's engaging, that, if a student has a question, we need to deviate and make a shift on the spot of, well, how can I make sure that the student understands this better as well? So those things need to take place. And that's where we talked about the backward design through our data-driven instruction model of how are we really planning to deliver this? And I'll say for any teacher, I remember my first year teaching, it's a whirlwind. So anytime you bring a new resource into a teacher's hands, that first year is really difficult to deliver it with your own zest on it and things. You're still learning it yourself. So hopefully, and we've said this to the teachers as well, after year one, after year two, we're going to start digging into it and looking at how can we improve this to make it more focused on what we want to do in Fond du Lac as well. But to start out, we really have to make sure we understand that curriculum resource, which means you need to deliver it the way it was intended originally before we start making modifications, because we also don't want to drop the level of rigor down. That's maybe something we've done in the past in this district because the student's struggling a little bit. So we say, oh, you can't understand it at this level. So we drop it down. Well, if you drop it down, we're not giving students a chance to really excel the way they need to. So instead, we need to learn how to water that curriculum up or that resource up to make sure everyone gets it at the level that they need it to. Some of that teacher craft and some of those deeper conversations will begin to happen, especially in this year and upcoming years, to make sure we're meeting the needs, that it's engaging for students as well. So I loved hearing that from you.
And I do understand that there are levels that the teachers need to learn before they start teaching a curriculum. And I understand that can take a few years. And while you say keeping the rigor the same and like making sure that like students are learning what they need to learn, that is very important. I agree with you on that. But also there is also a level of student engagement where if students do not feel engaged or really like feel like this matters, that they are just not going to do the work. And that's not good either, because
Correct.
that's not helping their rigor at all. So how would you say we could like how would you say like what a good level of balance between rigor and being able to keep students engaged would like what would be like good levels for both?
And for me, again, as I said, I want input from staff sometimes, and I don't get to have that input directly from students all the time. But hopefully teachers are talking to students and saying, what is the best delivery model here? What is going to help you learn this the best? And again, with 25 to 30 students, you probably have at least 8 different learning styles in that classroom to meet all of those needs. Isn't always easy in a 50-minute period as well. But again, if we get down to that fundamental level of what students are saying and keeping that rigor up at a high level, we can navigate different things to make sure that the content, how it's being delivered, there's definitely going to be some leeway there.
Thank you. And getting into funner questions.
Sure.
Morning starter, coffee, tea, or just heading straight into work?
And as long as I've been in administration, the other administrators always have coffee. And I just can't get into it. I don't know what it is, but coffee isn't my thing. Honestly, I leave right away in the morning and I might have some water with me and I take off to work from there. People can't believe that I don't need that coffee to get started every morning, but it's just something it's a habit I've never gotten into. Have I tried it? Yes, I've tried a few times where I'm like, come on, this has to be the way to go. If everyone around me is drinking coffee, that has to be that difference maker, but I just not into it. So it's really get in the car, get to work, and start my day.
I agree with you on that. I've never been able to get into coffee. I know people my age like Starbucks and just regular coffee.
Yep.
Too, and I'm just like, I just can't get into this. I'm a big lemonade guy.
That's what I've been doing as well lately. So absolutely. Or the liquid death. That's what people are saying is the way to go now. So I actually bought a couple of those and I'm trying that out right now. See if it does anything for me that way.
Oh, yeah.
More even.
Favorite spot on a school campus: library, gym, auditorium, or playground, or even other?
Honestly, my favorite spot is where I see, again, going back to my 2-word purpose, igniting opportunities, wherever I see students really engaged. So as you talk about being engaged in a classroom, it could be a classroom that I see that masterful teacher up there and that kids are just brought in to that lesson. I love seeing those moments. As a kid myself, I would have taken the playground. Give me some time on the playground all day, every day. Playground, gym, I really enjoyed those. And then obviously I really enjoyed math as a student as well. But as some people are like, this doesn't go hand in hand, I love reading. That's one of as a student, I never was assigned something to read that I didn't actually take something away from and enjoy. So it's kind of all those things.
Book on your nightstand.
Perfect segue. I want to say there's 2 right now that I don't get as much time to read as I'd like, but I think Boys from Biloxi, The Boys on the Boat, and I have Atomic Habits that I kind of keep going back and forth between a little bit, depending on which one I remember to grab at different times or where it is in my house that all of a sudden I'm like, hey, I have a moment, maybe I can read a chapter. So those are the 3 right now.
And speaking on that, what do you say is like your favorite genre?
I actually really enjoy biographies of seeing, again, people accomplish something that maybe they didn't realize that they could have accomplished. So Boys on the Boat right now is looking at the row team and seeing what they did together. Really, it just is inspirational, and it makes me think of how to be a better leader.
Talents most colleagues do not know about.
Hidden talent. I love sports, music things too, except would definitely be not a hidden talent. You'll never catch me doing karaoke or anything like that. Right now I enjoy golfing a lot, so people might not realize that I enjoy golfing and can usually shoot in the low 40s at least, once in a while in the upper 30s. So it's just more of a hobby. That might be a talent though as well.
One song that always boosts your mood on the drive to work.
Song. My wife actually asked me this morning. Matt, what's your go-to song? I don't know if I have a go-to song. My mornings, again, grab a water or something. I get in the car and usually 107.1 The Bull is on with former Goodrich graduate Chandra is one of the hosts there. So I usually listen to what's going on that way. And they usually bring on different things that are happening in Fond du Lac, which I enjoy. And now with her, also hearing different things that she remembers in Fond du Lac is just interesting to me that way. So it's really whatever's on there at the time. Otherwise, if I get in the car, it's whatever my kids tell me I need to put on Bluetooth and away we go. So, yeah.
And kind of asking like I did with the books, what's your favorite genre of music?
Some of the newer things I don't necessarily like. I do like 80s, 90s rock. Country right now is something that my kids are into. I listen to that right now. So they went to the Morgan Wallen concert at Camp Randall. I actually stayed home and let my 10-year-old go with her sisters and her mom. So I don't know if that'll be a regret of mine later on, but they got that opportunity. My daughter that's a junior just got back from the Megan Maroney concert, wherever that was. So she did that, but we try to get to a couple concerts like that every once in a while, and we don't usually have to worry about the swearing or some of the things in that as much as some of the new hip hop rock things that are going on right now. So with a 7-year-old, we try to keep that down to a minimum. And so again, usually 107 is something that we can trust isn't going to have anything too derogatory in there.
Wisconsin tradition you never skip. Fish fry, Friday night football, or even some.
I do love Friday night football. Again, my daughter was in volleyball, so I missed some of those to go to volleyball. But really, I think in terms of Friday night, it's what activity is going on here in the Fond du Lac community, whether it's the high school or somewhere else that we can really take in and watch and enjoy. So it really is cheering on our local teams, or on a Saturday going to a Badger game, or Brewers right now. We have a couple Brewer games planned out right now. So it's really just following some of the athletic things, but also, again, I love music and getting into some of the things that we have here at the Performing Arts Center. The musicals here at Fond du Lac High School are second to none. I've seen ones put on here that are as good as some of the things in Appleton at the PAC there. So it's really just enjoying what's going on here with students. And
Favorite childhood recess game?
Gotta love a good game of scatter or kickball always. I grew up really enjoying athletics, so I don't know if there's anything I wouldn't have done. Flag football, it really went with the season. In the fall, it was always flag football and doing some of those things. Then you'd get into kickball a little bit more maybe once in a while, but it goes with the season.
2-word purpose aside, describe Fond du Lac schools in just 3 words.
I'm going to say pride, tradition, and growth.
Can you maybe describe how you came to those 3?
Great question, too. Finding pride, it's just something that people, as I'm in and around the community all the time, you run into people that, again, will do anything for this community. And a lot of them are people that have been here for a long time and are willing to do that. I think we need to do a better job, though, of making sure that people from outside the community that come in can get that pride instilled in them and realize that that's what we're about. It doesn't have to be exclusive of other people all the time, but that pride, just going through things, again, as I talked about, different people. If you're from here, there is a pride of things that we do and belief systems and how we maybe work and work ethic and things like that I appreciate yet. The growth one, again, looking at where we are with student growth right now and even the growth that our teachers are being pushed to have in terms of bettering the opportunities for kids has been awesome to see, and we're making strides. So I think that's where that growth comes in from, that we are somewhat even getting away from that fond pride of having to do things the way we've always done them to realizing that we can change and get better by looking at different things that way. And I'm trying to think what my third word was. Tradition, was it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Tradition. And again, that kind of goes with just different things that are great to see, like the football games or the basketball games. Football has gotten better in the last few years than where it was 10 years ago. And it's neat to see former Fondy people that their kids now are doing some of those things. Same thing with basketball with Coach Ford here. He instilled this belief of Fondy pride of this is how we operate. It's more that blue collar, tough-nosed kid that can get things done and isn't going to say no and is going to persevere through things that way. And I think that's really what Fond du Lac is. It doesn't always come easy for all of us in Fond du Lac, but we have that grit and that determination to prove people wrong sometimes, which I think is a huge, huge skill to have and to instill on kids as well, that you don't always get it your way, but if you want something, you can work hard enough to get it yet.
Mr. Steinbarth, let's close it out with a quick segment. This or that. No overthinking. Give us your first answer right away.
Well, you've heard all my answers so far. There's a lot of overthinking in all of them, so
High five or fist bump?
I'm going to go with fist bump.
Classroom walkthrough or playground duty?
Gotta love a good playground duty.
Fresh cheese curds or fried cheese curds on that Friday night?
I'm going with fresh.
Hot dog or brat?
Going with the brat.
Pizza Friday or Taco Tuesday?
I'm going to say you can't go wrong either way on that one, so I'm not going to overthink it. You can't choose on that one.
So you want them both?
I want them both. That's right.
At home with the family, video game tournament or board game night?
Well, probably a board game night.
Ice cream cone or frozen custard?
I'm going to say frozen custard just because you put ice cream cone, so I'm going to elaborate on this a little bit more. My first date with my wife, we went to Gillies. We got a cone. I'm not a fan of the cone. So as we pulled up to the garbage can, I thought I was being cool, and I did my hook shot over the car into the garbage can. Later on, I found out that she was mortified that someone would actually throw out the cone part of that ice cream cone, which I did not know, but she gave me a second date at least, and now we're married with 4 kids. So frozen custard I'm sticking with.
I like.
There you go. Well, again, that was 30 years and 20 years ago now, so it hasn't been as recent, but yes, absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us. Thank you, Mr. Steinbarth, and thank you for being part of the We Are Founding community.